The castle stood like a brooding spectre against the autumn sky, its towers veiled in a grey mist that seeped from the river below. Wind clawed at the battlements, carrying with it the faint toll of the chapel bell, each strike echoing like a funeral knell across the sleeping city. Within those stone walls, torches burned low, casting shadows that crawled and writhed along the damp corridors. At the heart of the fortress, in chambers sealed from the common eye, the royal family's secret breathed a truth old as the dynasty itself, whispered only in silence, concealed beneath velvet drapes and iron locks. Few dared to speak of it aloud, for fear of more than treason, fear of damnation itself. Prince Alaric, eldest son of King Theobald IV, moved like a ghost through the corridor that night. His face was pale beneath the flicker of torchlight, his eyes hollow from sleepless vigils. He had heard again the sound that no servant admitted to, no guard dared to name the cry behind the walls. A low wail, neither fully human nor wholly beast, echoing from the forbidden east wing. He paused before a great oak door, its iron fittings rusted, its frame cold with damp. Few within the court even knew the passage was here. It had been walled off decades ago, spoken of only in hushed prayers. Yet Alaric knew, he had always known. Since childhood, he had heard the whispers, the rustle of chains, the scraping of nails upon stone. A voice stirred behind him. "You should not linger here." Alaric turned sharply. His younger brother, Prince Matthias, stood in the gloom, a figure draped in furs though the corridor was warm with torchlight. Matthias's eyes gleamed with a mixture of fear and delight, as if he relished catching Alaric in forbidden places. "Do you hear it?" Alaric asked. His voice was low, tremulous. Matthias smirked. "I hear nothing but the wind." "Perhaps you dream, brother. Or perhaps," he leaned closer, his whisper sharp, "you hear what father has hidden from the kingdom." Alaric's jaw tightened. He did not answer. From the chamber came another sound, faint but unmistakable. A moan, wet and ragged, like the throat of one long starved. The two princes froze. Matthias's smile faltered, replaced by a shadow of dread. The sound ceased. Silence pressed upon them. "You see," Alaric murmured. "It is not the wind." Matthias's hands clenched, the bravado slipping from him. "Then we must go. Now. If father finds us." But Alaric's hand was already upon the latch. The iron was cold, biting into his flesh. He pressed, and the door groaned. From within, darkness exhaled, heavy with the stench of mildew and decay. Alaric Matthias's voice broke, trembling with terror. The elder prince stepped inside. The chamber was vast, its ceiling lost in shadow. Chains clattered faintly from the walls. Rats scurried across the floor, their eyes catching the torchlight with eerie glimmers. Alaric lifted his torch high, its flame quivering. There, against the far wall, hunched a figure. The torch revealed pale skin stretched thin over bones, hair matted like wet straw, eyes sunken and yet burning with unnatural fire. The creature, if creature it was, shifted, its chains rattling. And when its lips parted, the voice that emerged was not a groan but a whisper, hoarse and venomous, "Blood of my blood." Alaric staggered back, his torchlight shaking. Matthias gasped, clutching the doorway as if to flee. The chained figure lurched forward, the iron biting into its wrists. It smiled, a ghastly twist of lips that had long forgotten human warmth. "You look like him," it rasped. "The king. The usurper. My brother." The words struck like thunder. Alaric's torch quivered, nearly slipping from his grasp. Matthias's face drained of color. The chained figure leaned closer, straining against its bonds. "I am the rightful king. And you are my heirs." The torch sputtered, its flame dimming in the suffocating dark. The chamber seemed to close around them, the chains rattling like the tolling of a death knell. Matthias seized Alaric's arm, hissing through clenched teeth. "We must leave. Do you not see? This is what father has hidden. This is why blood has drowned our kingdom for 3 generations. But Alaric could not move. His eyes locked on the prisoner, on that face ravaged by time and torment yet bearing an uncanny resemblance to the portraits of kings long dead. The figure's voice rose, echoing through the chamber. Free me, sons of my line, and I shall give you truth. Leave me here, and you will inherit not a crown but a curse. Chains strained, walls groaned, the air itself shivered. Matthias pulled at his brother desperately, terror flooding his eyes. And in that moment, the door behind them slammed shut with a sound like thunder. The princes were trapped inside. The door slammed with such force that the stones trembled, and the torch nearly slipped from Alaric's hand. Matthias rushed back, slamming his fists against the iron-bound wood, his voice breaking as he cried for release. No echo answered. The castle swallowed his shouts as though the walls themselves had conspired in silence. Alaric! Do something! The guards must hear us, but Alaric heard nothing beyond the rattle of chains, the low, rasping laughter of the prisoner who crouched in shadow like a revenant from the grave. Shout, boy, shout until your lungs bleed, the figure crooned. None will come. They fear this place. They have been taught since birth that these walls are cursed. Matthias turned, his face streaked with sweat. Who are you? He demanded, though his voice trembled. The chained man's eyes burned like coals in a dying fire. I am your blood. I am Benedict, firstborn of Theobald II, true heir to the throne. Your father is a liar, your grandfather a thief, and your dynasty a chain of murderers. The brothers froze. The words were madness, impossible. The chronicles of the realm were clear. Benedict had died in infancy, a child taken by fever. Theobald II's younger son had ascended, and from him the present king's line had flowed. Yet here before them, shackled in a dungeon forgotten by history, sat a man who claimed otherwise. Matthias shook his head violently. You lie. You're nothing but a lunatic rotting in chains. Am I? Benedict's cracked lips twisted into a smile. Look at me, boy. Look close. Alaric's hand trembled as he raised the torch higher. The prisoner leaned into the light, and for the first time, they saw his face fully. The hollow cheeks, the tangled beard, the pallid skin, but beneath the ruin of years was a likeness that sent a chill through them both. His jawline, the arch of his brow, even the strange fleck of amber in his left eye, these were not features of strangers. These were the features of their blood. Alaric staggered back. Matthias clutched the cross upon his chest. It is written that you died, Alaric whispered. The chronicles are ink and lies, Benedict spat. Your precious histories are penned by the victors. I was not taken by fever, I was taken by chains. My brother cast me into this tomb that he might wear the crown. For 60 years I have rotted while my name was scrubbed from memory. Matthias's face twisted with horror. No man can live so long in such a place. Benedict's laughter was a broken thing, harsh and ragged. No man can, no. But I am not as other men. In this prison I have drunk bitterness and shadows, and they have sustained me. Blood is the food of kings, and blood is what I was fed. The torch sputtered, its flame guttering in the damp air. The chamber reeked suddenly of iron and rot, as though the very walls wept with old wounds. Alaric's heart thundered. He felt the weight of every tale whispered by servants when the fire burned low, every glance cast nervously toward the east wing, every prayer muttered against nameless curses. What if it was true? What if the dynasty sat upon a throne built not upon right but upon betrayal, a betrayal locked in stone and silence? Benedict's voice dropped, soft and venomous. Your father knows. He kneels before the altar each morning, not in devotion, but in fear. He fears me. He fears that the blood he spilled will seep into his sons. Do you not wonder, children, why madness runs in your line? Why your uncle drowned himself in wine, why your aunt clawed her own eyes out in the convent? It is the curse of the stolen crown. And it will claim you, too. Matthias shook his head wildly, clutching at Alaric's arm. We must leave. We must not listen. But Alaric could not turn away. His mind was aflame with doubt, with a terrible curiosity. If what you say is true, why keep you alive? Why not kill you and be rid of the danger? Benedict's smile widened, revealing teeth blackened with rot. Because he cannot. Oaths bound him. Blood bound him. The church itself bound him. I live because my death would unseal the truth more surely than my life. So he walled me away, kept me as a phantom in the stone, and prayed the kingdom would forget. Matthias cried out, his voice cracking with terror. Brother, do not listen. He seeks to poison us against Father, against the crown. He is evil, can you not see? Evil. Benedict's voice thundered, chains rattling as he surged against them. What is evil? Is it evil to be robbed of a crown by one's own blood? To be buried alive while thieves sit on my throne? Tell me, Prince Celinx, if you were caged in darkness for a lifetime, would you not thirst for justice? Would you not thirst for blood? His roar echoed through the chamber, shaking dust from the stones. Matthias fell to his knees, covering his ears, whispering prayers through clenched teeth. Alaric stood rooted, staring into the prisoner's eyes, unable to look away. Free me, Benedict hissed, his voice suddenly soft again, coaxing like a serpent. Break these chains, and I shall tell you all. The secrets of your father, the lies of your priests, the sins that rot your kingdom from within. You need only take the key from the altar. The altar. Alaric's voice was barely a breath. Yes. The chapel above. Beneath the Virgin's feet lies the key. Your father kneels upon it daily, begging it never be found. Alaric's hand shook so violently that the torch threatened to fall. He saw visions in the flame, his father's stern face bent in prayer, his mother's haunted eyes, the blood-soaked soil of wars fought to defend a throne that perhaps was never theirs to hold. Matthias seized him by the shoulders, his face wild with desperation. Do not listen. Alaric, we must swear now we never heard this, never saw this. We must forget, or it will devour us. But the words seemed far away. Alaric's gaze was fixed on Benedict, on the raw hunger in those eyes. The prisoner leaned forward, chains creaking like bones. Choose, boy. Will you carry the burden of your father's sins in silence? Or will you uncover the truth, and claim the crown that is truly yours? The torch guttered, throwing the chamber into writhing shadows. From the darkness, Benedict's whisper slithered, the key, Alaric. The altar. Bring it to me, and the dynasty will burn. The flame flared suddenly, then dimmed again. Alaric's breath caught in his throat as he saw what he had not seen before etched into the wall above Benedict's head, carved deep into the stone, were words in Latin, Regnum fundator in sanguine, the kingdom is founded in blood. The torch hissed, smoke rising in the fetid air. And then, from beyond the chamber door, came the heavy tread of boots. Many boots. The scrape of iron. Voices low and grim. Matthias's eyes widened in horror. They know we are here. The chains rattled, Benedict's laughter rising like a storm. They come not for me, he crooned. They come for you. The footsteps outside the chamber grew heavier, echoing like drum beats through the castle's stone corridors. Alaric's hands shook around the torch, its flickering flame casting long, quivering shadows that made the chains around Benedict clink like whispering ghosts. Father's men, Matthias whispered, his voice taut with panic. They've found us. We're trapped. Alaric's heart thundered. He had known fear before, as a child hiding from the tutor's lashes, as a prince navigating the cruelty of court politics, but nothing like this. Nothing like the sense that every wall, every stone, every shadow was conspiring against him. Benedict's pale lips curved in a grim smile. Do not fret, boy. They seek only to silence you. The king does not wish to see the truth. But the altar can change that. Will you claim it? Or will you let your line die in ignorance? Alaric swallowed hard, the torchlight dancing over the carved Latin, regnum fundator in sanguine. The words pressed into his mind like a warning and a promise at once. Could he find the key beneath the altar and risk everything, or flee and live under the shadow of a lie? Matthias grabbed his arm. Do you hear them? Alaric. We must go. There is no time for secrets. But Alaric felt a pull he could not resist. Lead me, he whispered to Benedict. Where is this altar? The chained man's eyes gleamed in the torchlight. Follow me. And fear nothing, for it is too late to turn back. Alaric and Matthias stepped cautiously, guided by Benedict's voice as it whispered in echoes through corridors long forgotten. The castle seemed alive, groaning with centuries of hidden sins. Tapestries depicting scenes of conquest and piety hung like shrouds, their colors muted by dust and neglect. Stone faces leered from gargoyles above, frozen witnesses to the unfolding drama. At last, they arrived at a hidden staircase spiraling upward, narrow and treacherous. Benedict shuffled behind them, his chains rattling with each step. The staircase ended at a chapel concealed behind an ancient door, one Alaric had passed countless times yet never noticed. The air was different here, thicker, heavy with incense and the weight of unspoken prayers. Benedict stopped at the threshold. There, beneath the Virgin's feet lies the truth. The key. Take it, and the kingdom's soul is revealed. Fail, and you will inherit the curse. Alaric stepped inside, torch held high. The chapel was small but magnificent, its walls adorned with frescoes of angels and saints, all watching with serene, indifferent eyes. The altar dominated the room, carved of white marble, its surface worn smooth by centuries of devotion. He knelt, brushing his fingers along the stone. A small, iron key was hidden in a hollow at the base exactly as Benedict had promised. The key was cold and heavy in his hand, and the moment he touched it, a shiver ran through him, as if the castle itself recognized the claim. Do you have it? Benedict whispered, urgency in his voice. Alaric nodded. Yes. But now we must escape. They are coming. A sudden crash echoed behind them. The door burst open, splintering under the force of armed men. The royal guards, led by a figure draped in crimson, poured into the chapel. Alaric and Matthias froze, trapped between the soldiers and the chained figure of Benedict. King Theobald for himself stepped forward, his face pale and furious. Alaric. Matthias. Step away from that abomination. Benedict hissed, voice rising like a storm. Father. Face the truth. This is the son you buried, the heir you condemned. See him. Know him. Own your crime. Theobald's eyes narrowed, his hand trembling on the hilt of his sword. You lie. You are a demon, a wraith. You seek to poison my sons against me. Alaric's chest tightened as he looked at his father, the man he had revered and feared in equal measure. And yet, Benedict's resemblance was undeniable. The eyes, the line of the jaw, the cruel intelligence that seemed to pulse through their shared blood. The soldiers advanced, but Benedict's chains rattled, and he moved with a sudden, terrifying strength. Release me, he roared. Release me, or all of you will drown in your own blood. Alaric, trembling, raised the key. It was an act both simple and momentous. As the key touched the chains, iron links groaned and twisted. Benedict's wrists were freed, and the figure rose, tall and formidable despite the years of captivity. His eyes blazed with fury and hunger. Theobald's face paled. No, no, this cannot be. I am the king. You are a usurper, Benedict spat, stepping toward the altar. And this crown belongs to me, by blood and by right. Matthias fell back, trembling. Alaric, we must stop him. Think of the chaos. The kingdom. Father. Alaric's mind raced. He looked between his father and Benedict, the key heavy in his palm, the chapel walls closing in with centuries of silence and secrets. He realized, with a sinking heart, that nothing would ever be the same. The truth could destroy the family, the dynasty, or perhaps even the kingdom itself. And then Benedict laughed, a sound that carried both triumph and madness. Come, sons of my line. Join me, or be consumed. The choice is yours. Will you embrace the darkness of truth, or cling to the lies that have fed your lives? Theobald raised his sword, eyes burning with desperation. You will not live to see it claimed, traitor. Benedict's eyes met Alaric's. Choose. The chamber seemed to shudder. The torches flickered violently, throwing grotesque shadows on the walls. The soldiers raised their spears. The air was thick with the scent of incense, sweat, and iron. And in that moment, Alaric understood the moment he turned the key, a single act would ignite a chain of events from which there would be no return. A scream shattered the tense air, a scream not of pain, but of recognition, of horror. Matthias clutched Alaric's arm. It's too late, it's already begun. Benedict stretched his arms toward the altar, the chains falling like broken memories to the floor. Let the kingdom know its truth. And then, with a sound like shattering stone, the chapel doors exploded inward, and shadows poured across the floor, figures Alaric had never imagined, cloaked in black, moving with intent and vengeance. The torch trembled in Alaric's hand. His blood ran cold. For the first time, he realized that the secret of the royal family was no longer hidden, and the world beyond the walls would never forgive the sins of the past.